What's up, Spice Warriors? It's DuneBro, and today we got a very big new patch for Dune Spice Wars. We've got community update number 3, chock full of a bunch of new features, as well as a lot of balance changes. There's going to be a lot to learn, so let's dig into it. We've got our Dune Spice Wars community update at number 3, and I'll tell you the very first thing that caught my eye. You know it, Spectator mode. They are allowing you to spectate multiplayer lobbies up to 8 spectators. So this is actually a setting you enable in the lobbies. You can actually choose if people can or cannot spectate your lobby. And this also includes eliminated players being able to keep watching as spectators. Now this is huge. I bet you've played a game where you're in an hour and a half, and then suddenly maybe you got knocked out and you wanted to see just maybe how the game played out or what was going on at the time, and you weren't able to watch the game before. Now you'll be able to continue on and watch. But you guys know, if you followed me and maybe followed some of my other channels, I'm big on casting RTSs, and this means I can bring you guys the very first legitimate casted game of Dune Spice Wars. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to be trying to record one of those soon in the next few weeks. So I'll be uploading one of those, and let me know what you think about it. I've never casted a game of Spice Wars today, so it's surely going to be a lot of fun. Let's look at a few of the reworks, and we'll see some of the balance changes for the faction. So the first rework is going to be to pillaged sieges. So those are the, where you have the natives on the planet that you can go, you can ally with them, they come and raid you, etc., and you can pillage them, right? Fremen can no longer build in a devastated siege. So I guess before, if they had been destroyed, Fremen couldn't build in them, and that's a faction bonus, so probably a big deal. They can, however, repopulate them for a large cost, which removes the devastated trait. So it sounds like you're able to get back in the game if you want to have those sieges and maybe your enemy has pillaged it. You can pay a cost, not sure what it's going to be, to repopulate that siege. To compensate, it gave them Fremen one more building in the main base, forming a new 1-slot district. So this moves stuff back into your main base. If you think back, originally every Fremen building was in the main base. They're just going to include one more, and it's going to be a single slot district. So change to that. And the eligibility condition for the Dune governorship, so that's winning with Dune governorship, has been revised to only account for non-devastated sieges. The condition is control 1/5 of the map, ally all non-devastated sieges, or at least 3/4 of sieges are not devastated. So just a little bit of a rework on how specifically the devastation works around those sieges. Now, an Assassination UX rework, rather. Now, I'll tell you, Assassinations, while I've gotten pretty good at figuring them out, are rather confusing, especially if you're new to the game. You're probably going to struggle figuring out how to do Assassinations. It sounds like they're trying to make that a less painful experience. So the UI has been improved with additional information on what you're supposed to do. So it's good to know how to do the assassinations. A new option, Assassination Tips, will help with learning the assassination mechanics through targeted alerts. The option is on by default. So this will help lead you through doing assassination for the first time. Maybe you need a refresher course. This is going to be nice for you. I'll definitely be giving this a try. And then the Imperial Intelligence Landstrider Resolution. This allows cell search even without having detected any assassination attempt. Now works properly. You can prepare cell search operations, but also use them on your territory. So going to make it possible to detect these assassinations, know they're ongoing, make a decision about that, because you could get blindsided by these before. So a little bit of a rework to Assassination, mostly around the messaging. Let me know what you think about these changes. I think it should be nice. It'll be interesting to see that in action. Now we move on to the spaceship balancing. All spaceship costs, stats, and traits have been balanced to make them worth the cost without being overwhelmingly strong. So you're probably going to see them be either a little bit cheaper, but not as crazy strong. Let's see how they've balanced each one of these. Now, I'll be completely honest. I haven't played here in a little bit, so trying to remember every single one of these units and their exact stats, I'm going to do my best, but feel free to make some corrections down in the chat. So the Hawk is going to go from 30 down to 9 guild favor, 15 down to 12 Solari upkeep. So way cheaper upkeep and cost. Health is going up, power is going down, and attack speed's going up. So, that's a lot of changes literally across the entire board of the unit. The Kraken can only attack ground units. The Harpy getting a lot cheaper, more health, more power. Trait change to attack a small area and executes enemies until under 80 health. Okay, Overlord can only attack ground units. Banshee can attack ground and air units, getting cheaper, more health, less power. So, I mean, really, looking at these numbers, there's not a whole lot you're going to be able to really do with this. You're going to have to try it out, right? Like anything, things can look really good on paper. And then when it gets down to playing it, you know, you'll see how it all works out when it comes to you put those costs, those HP, all that into play. So we'll explore that as we get to play some of it. But let me know if you get a chance, what you think about the balancing of the new air balance. We go into the general balancing. Defense breaches operations do not stack. I didn't even know they did. I feel like I've been missing out on this, but I guess they will no longer stack. Main bases will detect stealth units at very large range now, very long range. Landsrad units from Judge of the Council charter cost 40 to 25 influence each recruit. So they're making it more worth it to get Judge of the Council, because maybe before it was just too expensive. I mean, spending that influence can be really big. And so now it's a little cheaper. You can get more Landsrad units and maybe a little bit more valuable to get this. The EMP bomb spying operation. Minus 50% attack speed to mechanical units, missile battery, and main bases. They've nerfed the move speed to mechanical units from 50 to 20, and 50% power to mechanical units has been removed. So it's just going to be impacting the speed, it looks like, and a little bit of a nerf to that. Maybe a little bit too strong EMP bomb. They made it a little cheaper if you wanted to switch the gears out, kind of the armory, the gear that you're going to use. It used to cost 1,000 Solari. Now it only costs 500, so basically cut that in half, make it more valuable. I very rarely actually want to switch my gear around, but if you want to have that level of control, certainly it's going to be cheaper for you to do that. Now the development border defense, +1 missile battery limit per village. Now, when I was reading this, does this mean you can get up to like 3 missile batteries? Because I know before you could get 2, they said +1 limit per village. Does this mean you get 3? Am I misunderstanding that one? Militia have now +1 armor instead of +2, so a little nerf there. Militia were very strong. And power to missile battery has been removed, the +30% power. So it's gonna be a nerf to this in general. So maybe they nerfed it, but allow you to put more in the village. I think is how I read that one. The main base building research center, because it's going to give 20% knowledge. Hegemony gain from spice tax and daily gain plus 20%, and 15% hegemony from all sources has been removed. So I guess they specifically moved the 15% hegemony you get from all sources to just being from spice and daily gain. So kind of like a spice centric. So this is probably a nerf if you were really using this to go ham on hegemony, but also gonna be nice if you want to use it for more knowledge as well as getting out spice hegemony. House Atreides. Trooper units have been buffed +1 power under the effect of at least 1 allied bonus. So buff to the troopers. Ranged gear, automated weapons. Looks like it has, well, that's a minus 30% power. So that is going to be a nerf for the ranger, but it gets 50% attack speed. I'm not sure on some of these if it is like they just included the entire effect of the unit or the weapon, or if it's just like these are the changes, the delta on the changes. Support drone is going to be down from 15 down to 12. So they've nerfed the support drone. You can no longer annex a devastated village, which makes sense, I think. Gonna be nerfed there. Veteran militia, minus 15% damage inside of territory. Militia have 80% health instead of 100%. And they have 50% power has been removed. So man, they really added a lot of nerfs here to Atreides. Proud Liberator development. Non-mechanical units get plus 2% down to 1% max health per 25 to 20 standing. Man, that's a hard one to to unpack. What is that? So they go down max health per 20 standing. So it's, you get it more frequently at a lower percentage. Oh man, that's again something you just got to come test. That's gonna be weird, right? Units liberating an annexed village from annexing a village from a faction with less standing heals 20% instead of 50% health free. So more nerfs for Atreides. Man, what did the Duke do to the balancers? Holy cow. Sustainable spying. Agents assigned to Chome Landsrad and Spacing Guild slots produce 50% of their associated resources. Man, the Nerf hammer is strong. Agent traits present only once on an information field apply their effects twice. Okay, so you're gonna get that. Okay, so hold on a second. So agent traits present once, get it twice. So is this essentially nullifying this? I guess they get their traits instead of getting the resources. So a little bit of a rework, I guess you might say. Counselor Dr. Yua gets +2 knowledge. We know what kind of knowledge he deals out to the Harkonnens. Non-mechanical military units get additional 5% health, and they regen faster. So across the board, I'd say it seems to be an Atreides nerf, but maybe they need it. Let me know, Atreides fans. Probably going to be in shambles. House Harkonnen. Maybe the Emperor is pulling the strings. We're going to see a bunch of Harkonnen buffs. Solari upkeep going down on the probe. So there's a buff for Harkonnen. Counselor Kudu, +2 manpower production. Units take 30% less time to recruit, so that's going to be a lot faster. Units in a region with an active Harkonnen operation gain +1 armor. Okay, we got 2 buffs for the Harkonnen. And the food. Military units in the region get 5% up to 10% attack speed per active operation, and survival of the fittest gives you 200% power to the next attack, which only stacks once, but has a much lower cooldown. So a little bit of change to that, but I would say very minor changes. But Harkonnen, a little bit of a buff. The Smugglers, look at that. Took full headquarter, produce 5 down to 4 Solari per neighboring headquarters. So that's going to be a nerf to that, but +1 slot in the headquarters. So yeah, a rework. I'll call that one a rework. Counselor Butte produces 12 water now. Okay, unlocks the water network and water cellar headquarters extension. Okay, so a little bit of buff there, I would say, to that counselor. And then Hera gains information in other factions by trading any resources. Information level in faction reduces 50% slower and gains 10 Solari and 1 influence per information in another faction. So a few changes to Smugglers, largely not a massive difference. A little bit of a nerf there, a little bit of a buff there, a little bit of a change here. Yeah, let's go on to the Fremen. Fremen, let's see what they did. Now, we already did the rework up above on the pillaged sieges, or the devastated sieges rather. Skirmishers have gone down in power, but they've gone up in damage per enemy unit in damage radius. So is that like the area of effect has gone up with the trait? I think that's what that is. Less power, but more damage radius, which kind of seems like how the unit's supposed to work anyways. Mobile turrets now have XP. Balancing of spaceship parts looted from enemy vessels. Combined with cost changes, Spire are overall cheaper to produce from destroyed enemy ships. The Counselor Shaboom. Each village producing at least 12 water gives you, instead of -3 to -4% Solari upkeep. Oh man, I already liked using this one anyway, so that's gonna be nice. Less upkeep. Villages produce 1 water in empty slot. Counselor Jamis gains additional authority on liberating enemy village. Yeah, I didn't think Jamis was a very good counselor. This is probably much needed. Military unit inflicts +10% damage outside of territory. Okay, and can trade authority for manpower. So really leaning into that kind of aggressive nature if you're going to go for Jamis. And then Counselor Mother Romelo's ability, Insight Rebellion. Oh, I love this one. They made it cheaper. Oh my gosh, that's like one of my favorite ones in multiplayer and Insight Rebellions around the map. I like that one a lot. Okay, Fremen changes seem nice. Seems like Fremen's doing decent. They also had some, reworks up above. Yeah, I think overall pretty good for Fremen. Corrino. Okay, artillery drone is getting cheaper to upkeep. Counselor Ireland now only affects village neighboring a main base. And then Counselor Garen, military units have additional power per active truce. And Imperial and Mandate has no cost. Not many changes, just tiny changes here, I guess, to these ones. But Corrino, largely pretty insignificant changes here. House Ecaz, less solar upkeep for the war banner. The big banner gear now increases the banner range of effect. A little rework there. Hero with more blood. If multiple champions deal damage to the same unit, only the last to damage it will get a trophy. The Frightful Champion skill now gives you +1 down to 0.5 armor per trophy. So I think maybe this was a bug before, doing more damage than intended if they were all getting a trophy. And Counselor Vip's ability, Lance Red Immunity, now costs 30 standing on negative resolution and gives 10 up to 30 influence on positive resolution. So a little bit of a rework to the Lance Red Immunity. Ecaz, maybe just a little bit of a change, I'd say. A little bit of nerf there, of course, but I think largely going to be very similar with Ecaz. House Vernius, our newest faction. So the fighting mech has got more health, railgun more health, resonance drone more health, less Solari. So buff, 3 units right there for Vernius. Hegemony for 10k can obfuscate a single researched development. Each knowledge point increase production of all other resources from 0.1 up to 0.2%. So that's gonna be a buff there. Physical wiring developments unlocks assassins. Infiltration cells adjacent to a connected neural node gives +2 knowledge. Now, does this include enemy infiltration cells on you? Gives +2 knowledge as well as +5 Solari production and +1 intel production per statecraft building in the village. Okay, we'll have to see how that infiltration cell changes. That seems like a little bit of a nice little buff there for if you're next to infiltration cells. Adjacent to a connected neural node do not count in the maximum. Oh my gosh, infiltration cells has been removed. Wow, they basically are like, here you go, unlocking the keys to assassination for Vernius. I'll be honest, I was pulling off assassinations before with Vernius, so this could be a fun little one to change. It sounds like they're giving a lot of buffs to House Vernius. Automated defenses, 2 free militia in any village with a connected neural node. Okay. Really going ham on the neural node buffs and stuff. Connected neural nodes attack enemy units in the region as a rapid fire single target defensive building. Okay, and then enemy units in the region suffer less health per day per connected node through the region has been removed. Oh, so that no longer a debuff when you're fighting losing health around neural nodes. But overall, I'd say some major buffs to House Vernius. This is big. That's probably the most buff probably in this entire patch would be House Vernius. Lobby quality of life. If you've been kicked from a lobby, can't rejoin for 1 minute. Quick start can no longer be used and Conley, and the option is no longer visible. Bug fixes. Now, there's a lot of bug fixes here. Truces can be broken if targeted enemy village is captured by another faction before the attack takes place. I'm not going to go through and read every single one of these bug fixes right now, but I will leave a link to this one in the description, so if you want to go through all of them, you certainly can, and feel free to call them out down in the comments. Okay, guys, that is going to be our brand new patch here for Dune Spice Wars. That's going to be community update number 3. Let me know what you think about this. As always, if you like the Dune content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I exclusively upload Dune Spice Wars content here. I probably will cover Dune Awakening in the future when that comes out. And if you've been wondering, you know, where's your uploads been? I've been really busy. I just had a baby 2 months ago. I have my newborn, so it's been very busy with that. And as well, as you know, I'm an Age of Empires, Age of Mythology content creator, and I've been covering the news around Age of Mythology. You can follow that over on my FitzBro channel if you want. But with that, I'll continue the Dune uploads here as I am able to. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.